And now we're going to talk about limbs. It's been a while since I've been here, but welcome. My name is Beth Miguel, and this is LODNT. So I wanted to talk, for those of you coming from structured notation, from Laban notation or kinetography and moving into motif notation, these are two symbols that will be new and they'll be used regularly when documenting choreography. I find them particularly useful. So these are the symbols for the arms, and both legs. So both arms and both legs. And they're examples of limbs. So when we look at how to write a limb, we write it with two vertical lines. And if I want to indicate my left arm, I have the slant go to the left, and my right arm, my slant goes to the right. And the same thing for the legs, my right leg and my left leg. So these are the symbols that I find need to be included in many motif scores that don't need to be included in a kinetography or a Laban notation score because we already have our columns to tell the different body parts. So what is useful in motif notation is to really think about the limb as being its own entity. Now, of course, it can also be connected to the spine, and wonderful, beautiful dancers know how to create that kinetic chain, that embodied chain, so that the arm is supported and can express its full energy. Same thing with the legs. Whenever we talk about the legs, it's going to affect the nature of the pelvis. It will affect the nature of how we are standing or gesturing. So know that the motif notation will capture the action of the limb, and there will be other consequences that might not be notated, and that's okay. So limbs. Limbs are really useful when we're talking about gestures. So I'll erase this middle line. And let's talk about, if I wanted, I might say my right arm gestures. And I have an action stroke and then a circle. My right arm gestures. And this is really useful, especially if you have a complex gesture and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what is all of those moves put together in one moment? You can just write your arm's gesture. It's really a useful way to talk about the movement of the limbs in a motif notation score that isn't directionally organized, isn't directionally oriented. So if you find as a mover, as a dance maker, that you're less interested in designing geometry with your arms, this idea of using the limb, indicating the limb and the gesture of the limb could be an excellent way to go. And you could use this alongside something like a pathway, or alongside simultaneous with a rotation of sorts. That can be really useful, or on its own. So I might have an arm gesture that is a standalone idea, or an arm gesture that is a standalone idea that could be notated more specifically, right? Of course, we can always go more specific if we want to, but if we just want a simple indication that my right arm moves, then that can be a really useful way to articulate that. Or the leg moves in some way. So hopefully that will add to your vocabulary and help grow the specificity. If you're just working with your movement alphabet right now as you're notating or generating scores, and you're ready to take the next step to indicate which arm or leg is gesturing, this is a great next step. Let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, happy notating. I'm always waiting for suggestions on topics or ideas or theory questions. So if you have encountered something, or even if you've encountered a score and you're wondering about a certain measure, throw it my way and I might be able to help you. And certainly if I'm able, I will. So happy LODNT. Nice to see you all again.